Resident Evil has been all the rage recently following the announcement of the next game in the series, Resident Evil Requiem. So I decided to revisit one of my favorite games in the series, Resident Evil 2 Remake. I've done my fair share of challenges of this game, so I wanted to up the ante here a little bit. And so I came up with the Resident Evil 2 Remake Quadfecta challenge. Basically a combination of challenges that aren't difficult on their own, but put them all together and you have a what the f*** sandwich. In this sandwich, we have the frugalist challenge, meaning you have to complete the entirety of the run without using a recovery item. We have the minimalist challenge, meaning no use of the item box. The small carbon footprint challenge, which means the run has to be completed with less than 14,000 steps. And finally, the sizzling Scarlet Hero, which is just completing the run on standard or hardcore with an S+ rank. And obviously I'm choosing hardcore for a little extra spice. So we start off the challenge in the gas station as Claire, and it's a fairly easy area because it's the start of the game, but there is an enemy that can be kind of tricky. If you aren't careful, the zombie can do a number on you, and we cannot afford to take any damage, especially this early in the run. So to avoid him, after grabbing the key, you just have to wait at the back, and he should just stumble on by, giving you opportunity to run right past him. And after the gas station, there isn't really any obstacles on the way to the RPD, you just have to avoid being grabbed by the zombies. In the RPD, we're immediately thrown into chaos, but it can actually all be easily avoided. The first zombie that breaks through the door can be ran around, you just have to wait for him to start to climb over the desk. And the two zombies that break through the wall can be dodged if you hug the wall and take a wide left turn when going back to the main hall. And then we are given a knife, which is like gold in RE2 Remake, especially against Birkin's first form, which you'll see later. I decided to clear a good chunk of enemies in the RPD so the second half of the Tyrant would go a lot smoother. And after picking up the spade key, we run into our first obstacle of the challenge, which is our inventory. Since the spade key is a key item, we have to use it completely before even being able to discard it. But luckily, the spade key doors are all relatively close to each other and don't put me too much out of the way, so this key item really isn't going to be a problem. After collecting the bolt cutters, medallion, and valve, we make our way to the STARS office and retrieve the battery for the detonator, but on the way we run into a licker. But we can easily pass by him by walking, and then I grab the second medallion and blow up the wall to grab the last medallion. But another licker ends up spawning in, and this one is instantly aggroed because of the noise from the explosion, so we can either run past him on the side like I did here, or you can play it safe by throwing a flash grenade. Now that we have all three medallions, we head into our first boss fight, Mr. Birkin G1. But on the way, I stopped to grab a grenade from downstairs and made sure I had my knife equipped, because like I said earlier, the knife is this guy's kryptonite. To start this fight, I instantly threw a grenade at Birkin and then begin knifing the side of his arm with the eye. You have to stay slightly behind him here because if you're too close, he'll end up grabbing you like he did here. But luckily I had an extra knife, and with a few more slashes, Birkin was easily taken out. Now heading into the second part of the RPD, we're tasked with finding the keycard to exit the garage and rescue Sherry from Chief Irons. The first area is kinda intimidating because there's two lickers in a small room, but they're easily dodged on the way through. On the way back, they can also be dodged, but you have to get the first licker to sniff you and then leave the room completely. And after the doors close, the licker's position should change and you'll be able to sneak by them on the left. Back up in the RPD, we end up picking up two more key items, the diamond and heart key. I end up immediately going downstairs to unlock the heart key door so that way I can discard it later. Then I made my way upstairs to grab the large gear and electrical part. And here is where things get interesting. We are introduced to Mr. X, the Tyrant, but we end up cutting his dramatic entrance short by immediately running back outside when he starts to lift the helicopter. There's two ways to get around him here. You can either bait out a punch or lure him outside, which is a lot safer and consistent if you're bad under pressure like me. After grabbing the tool for the bookshelf, I ended up grabbing the grenade because it spawns in Mr. X and makes his location a lot more consistent. Here I flash him, push the bookcases together in the library, and grab the second electrical part from upstairs. I also discard the heart key because we've unlocked all the doors. Then I solve the hardest puzzle of any Resident Evil game ever and head into the hardest section. Okay, I'm totally kidding. And I also skipped it so you don't have to sit through it.
It's all over now! Doors locked!
After Sherry's section, I made my first save of the game, which leaves me with 2 to qualify for an S+ rank. Now heading out of the parking garage, we encounter the Tyrant for the last time, but luckily he's easily avoided during our game of tag because cars are his worst enemy. Now the dogs are really unpredictable, but they generally won't hit you if you're not looking at them or running in a straight line for very long. And the zombie on the bus can be passed if you stun him with a few shots to the head or if you have a sub-weapon to spare. Now we head into the sewers and need to retrieve all the chest plugs in order to unlock the door to save Sherry again. So I start off by grabbing the T-tool and the reinforced frame from the save for the pistol. This insta-kills zombies and deals a lot of damage, so I really recommend picking it up. And then we encounter the most annoying enemies in this game by far, the G-adults. They're huge, have insane hitboxes, and will ruin this run if they grab me if I don't have a sub-weapon, because they spew poison in you that can only be cured with an herb. But the first one can actually be avoided if you just hug the garbage and run past it. After passing by, we take the elevator up, grab the plug, and immediately run back to avoid the zombie that's waking up in the room. If the G-adult is still in the water like it is here, just wait for it to do its submerge animation before jumping back in the water. That way it won't be able to grab or damage you. I then went back to put the plug in to make some space in my inventory because things were getting a little tight and I needed room for the spark shot and 2 other plugs. And this section coming up is the scariest in the run for me by far. There are 3 G-adults we have to get by, and the first one is pretty easy. You just have to shoot it and then run past it before he fully gets out of the water. The second one is where I ran into some trouble. Sometimes you can get by him if you're fast enough, but unfortunately I was not, and he grabbed me and cost me 2 whole grenades. Luckily though, I managed to get by him without taking any damage, grabbed the 2 plugs and the spark shot, and began to head back. The last G-adult on the way back to the ladder can be kinda tricky, but you just have to jump on the ledge and wait for him to do his grab attack before jumping back in the water. After inserting all the plugs, I made my second save and headed into what I think is the hardest fight in the whole game. I started the fight by throwing a grenade and firing a few shots at his hand to end phase 1 pretty quickly. At the start of phase 2 of the fight, while he's trying to break down the door, I make sure to get my spark shot ready and aim at a specific part of the door so that way I can shoot the back of his eye. And right after the shot, I'm going to run straight to the platform to start the fight. Then when he lands on the platform, I fired a few heavy rounds to his eye, moved the crane, flashed him, and shot the back of his eye once again with the spark shot, making him go down. I then used my trusty old knife to slash Birkin a few times before hitting the crane to bring it back to the platform. If you get his health to below 50 HP, he can actually be one-cycled with the crane, but as you can see here, he didn't, so I had to improvise. He also has to die by the crane, so I instantly sent it back, and also, as you could probably tell, didn't have a strategy. I just kind of ran around until the crane was ready to be brought back, and he ended up hitting me, which brought Claire into caution. I did think about resetting, but decided to take my chances, and ended up killing him after baiting a grab attack, and he was bitch-slapped by the crane. After getting Sherry, we head to the lab, and I make my final save of the game, and looking back, a horrible idea because we still have 2 bosses, but the thought of doing G2 again made me want to cry. And the lab is where our inventory really starts to become a problem because we still have the diamond key from the RPD and the T-tool from the storage that we can't discard, so we're really working with the bare minimum. Also, the grenade launcher ends up spawning here if you don't grab it in the RPD, so I made sure to pick that up because it's really useful against the IVs. On the way to do the first wristband upgrade, I make sure to shoot this door a few times so that way the zombie will stand right behind it, because if you don't do that, sometimes he can grab you and bite you instantly when you go through the door from the kitchen. And after dealing with him, I grab the spark shot upgrade the wristband, and head right to the east area. In the east area, we meet the lovely Ivies, an enemy that will insta-kill you if you don't have a sub-weapon. The Ivies aren't really a problem until later, so I make my way to the basement after grabbing the cartridge. In the basement, I opt to kill all the zombies with my flame rounds and get the worst possible RNG with this liquor. 9 out of 10 times he'll jump and miss you as you run by here, but with my luck, he hit me and put me into danger. So I had a choice to make. Do I reset this section of the lab for the 100th time? Or do I roll the dice and take my chances against G3 and G4 with 1 HP? You know what? Fuck it. What do I have to lose? And we continued. I flamed the zombie, grabbed the signal modulator, and headed back to the north area to unlock the extra hip pouch. Then we head back to the basement and walk to turn on the power because there's 2 liquors in here that will rock my shit otherwise. And after unlocking the doors, I grab the knife and white powder from the safe room and create the herbicide in the machine. On the way back, I make sure to grab the large gunpowder and combine it with the white to make acid rounds. After using the herbicide, I grab the wristband for the west area and dodge IVs for dear life. I also decided to check my step counter here, and at this point in the run, we only had 9,253 steps, so we were looking pretty good for the end of the game. In the west area, we have our third boss fight, Mr. Birkin G3, which I actually think is the easiest boss in the game because of how consistent it is if you have the right weapons and ammo. When the fight starts, I immediately run to his left, shooting the eye on his leg while slowly moving back into the cubby. After popping his leg eye, I make sure to shoot the big eye on his shoulder, and after that one pops, he'll stagger forward, giving us an opportunity to get the one on his back. And just like that, G3 is already down, but before we damage him any further, I'm just going to grab the spark shot ammo here on the left side, and now I'm going to shoot his chest while slowly moving back to grab the grenade on the right. While he's recovering, I make sure to look down here, trying to bait a jump attack out of him. And luckily I got it, so I ran right out of the way and shot his back eye, followed by his leg, and then I shot an acid round to stun him before shooting his shoulder, bringing him down a second time very easily. This time I decide to knife him in the back before slowly moving to knife his chest. Then I throw the grenade I picked up, and as he's recovering, I knife him some more. Usually he would die here, but I ended up being short a spark shot round, so I didn't kill him before he removed the panel. But I ended up grabbing the heavy rounds from the other side of the arena, flashed him, and with 2 shots to his chest, G3 was done. Oh, and I did that all with 1 HP. Now we get Sherry and begin the final section of the game. Here the IVs are easily ran past, and I use my acid rounds on the IVs waiting for Sherry to unlock the door. And now here this zombie literally takes 1 bullet, so we run right past him and head into the final boss, G4. I was super nervous, again, because I had 1 HP, and the death meant restarting the entire lab section because I saved way too early. But it was time to clutch up, something that I've never done before. I start the fight trying to shoot all of his eyeballs with the minigun while he's on the train, and after he jumps down, I slash him a few times with a knife. Then I got scared and timed my grenade toss too late, so he didn't end up falling off the wall, so I had to improvise and ran around until he jumped back down. From there, I threw my last 2 grenades and shot him from a safe distance with the minigun. I was getting worried because I was running out of ammo, but I ended up killing him with 50 bullets left. So I finished the Resident Evil 2 Frugalist, Minimalist, Carbon Footprint, Sizzling Scarlet Hero Challenge on Hardcore in 1.5 hours with 1 HP. Now if that doesn't merit a subscription, I don't know what does. I'm only kidding. But seriously, subscribe. Anyways, thank you all so much for watching this week's video and making it this far. I hope you enjoyed yourself, and until the next one, see ya!